Hi everyone, Angie here from Hair Collections. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day so far. Today I am joined with our amazing ongoing guest blogger who does our health and wellness section in our community blog, and that is Katie Masters from Katie Masters Health. Hi Katie.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. So over the last couple of weeks, we have been doing some episodes about talking about healthy mindsets, healthy bodies, how to just let yourself, I think, also just be healthy in general as a pear-shaped girl, and talking about, your journey as well, because you are a pear-shaped woman who's gone through her own struggles that we all have to loving her body. So today I thought it would be really good for us to talk about, we kind of touched on it before, but the main myth that comes with your industry about health and thinness or body size and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What would you say is your main myth that you always have to try and educate your clients about?
I think it's like really, doing too much. Just,
Mm.
I'm coming to the gym. I'm going to come in every single day. I'm going to smash myself. I'm going to go and do HIIT classes. I'm going to lift heavy. I'm going to do this, and that. And then I'm going to get results. And it's not always the case. Often it isn't the case. Often it leads to burnout and injury. And, there's things that you can do. There's nothing, obviously, there's nothing wrong going to the gym, but there's other ways of, looking at things when you're starting your health and fitness journey. One of the biggest things you can do for yourself is to just get outside and go for a walk. It's looking at reducing your overall stress so that you can train hard when you do go to the gym, but easing into things. And especially at the moment with everyone returning back to training, a lot of people are hell-bent on just destroying themselves in the gym at the moment. And I see them being the first week back, the gym's open in Victoria, like all these people just absolutely caning themselves to the point where they have to take 3 days off because they're back in the gym. And they've put on
I
the
was wondering that.
yeah, they put on the ISO weight, they can barely walk. Whereas, like anything else, it's like a skill. You gradually build on things. You got to start somewhere. The best place you can probably start is by getting your overall aerobic capacity up, actually getting healthier, so your heart is healthier, so your lungs are healthier, so that you can work harder in the gym. Because if you go to the gym and try to smash yourself and run yourself into the ground, that's all you're going to do. You're going to end up lowering your immune system, which is really not something you want to be doing at the moment. And forever. You don't want to end up with an autoimmune disease because you push yourself to the limits, which, believe me, that's very common. I have a lot of clients who have them. And, whether it's from pushing themselves or not, it's something that you want to avoid. It doesn't make life easy. So you want to really look at what you can do to get moving more, not harder necessarily, but more incidental activity throughout the day. You're cooking, you're cleaning, you're gardening, you're walking to the shops, you're going for a walk. Instead of catching up for brunch with your friends, go for a walk, go hiking, get out in nature, ride your bike, walk the dog. All of these little, really basic no-brainer things that people always used to do. And we've just,
And people don't do it now.
it's just like when I was growing up, I rode bikes, I walked the dogs, I'd walk to the shops, I'd walk everywhere. And, then we started driving everywhere, and, with this like fast-paced lifestyle, it's like super stressful sitting in peak hour traffic. And I think in one way, like being in isolation in recent months has actually helped people go, hang on, what am I doing? Like, I feel
Mm.
while isolation is hard, I feel a lot less stressed because I'm not as much part of the rat race. I've actually got time to just get outside and go for a walk. And, there's other benefits to that, in that you're getting out in the middle of the day, you're going to have higher vitamin D levels, you're going to have a stronger immune system, you're going to feel better because, low vitamin D is not only linked to lower immune systems, but also cognitive decline and lots of diseases that attack the brain. So, I mean,
Mm.
there's lots of things, there's so many benefits to just getting out and doing something simple like stretching your legs, that is the best place to start. If you're not doing anything, the best place to start is not doing box jumps at the gym to lose the 10 kilos that you put on in isolation. Because if anything, you're just going to end up injuring your knees or your back. So you're better off, looking at nourishing your body and looking at your overall stress. If you're feeling really stressed, start easy, start building up some capacity to actually work, start moving more, and then introduce a bit of like more steady state cardio, even jogging and things like that. Everything has a place in a healthy lifestyle if you can do it, and if it agrees with your body. There's many different ways to train and many different ways to tackle problems, but walking, it's like a no-brainer. Our bodies are designed to do it. If you don't do it, how shit you feel. Like, as anyone that
I
knows,
love.
when you walk regularly, you generally feel pretty good. It's
Yeah, and when I used to live in Melbourne, I walked everywhere. I did public transport everywhere, and people would always say that, because my weight would fluctuate when I was stressed or more, that, I need to go to the gym, I need to keep things more consistent. And, I really always appreciated how you would be like, you don't need to go to the gym. You have more ongoing activity than some of the other people saying that I need to go to the gym
Yeah.
because I was always active. I was always doing things and
Yeah.
running to get trains or carrying my massive amounts of groceries home.
Yeah.
um, and
Wearing exercise than people that went to the gym. So
yeah, like just everyday exercise. And since moving up to Benora, I don't do public transport as much, and now I don't walk as much. And it was one of those things that once the shutdowns and everything happened, I was like, oh, this gives me the opportunity to go walking again. And
yeah.
it's amazing how, my happy place is the beach. I think, with us, both of us love going to the beach, whether we're swimming or not, it's just really therapeutic.
Yeah.
And just going for a walk on the beach for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Every time I go home, I'm so happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It has
Getting that activity.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. You wrote a blog for Pair a little while ago talking about low intensity, steady state,
Yeah.
which is kind of what you've just been chatting about. But do you want to tell people, our viewers, about that a little bit more? Because I think it's actually a really good way of looking at things for pear-shaped women, because, it gets you moving, it gets you active, but it makes it in a way so you don't get hurt.
Yeah. 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 It's a good thing for anyone getting into exercise, really. Yes, well, I've sort of been talking more about like the incidental activity. Doing your low intensity steady state, it could be going for a hike, an uphill hike. It could be going biking. It could be, like I said, it could be jogging. It could be something dancing. It could be something that you're doing constantly for a longer period of time. This has been a type of exercise that people have, kind of gone, it's not best for, strength or whatever. You get people that are actively like got cardio. Cardio is called cardio for a reason. It works your cardiovascular system. So without it, you're not going to have a very healthy heart. I mean, yes, there's types of training that you can do that are not necessarily lists, but that do actually work on your cardiovascular system. But it's good to have a balance. And if you're not exercising at all, it's an easy way to actually build up a bit of aerobic capacity so that when you are ready to do something like HIIT or strength training or something that is more intense, because you don't want to go straight into that from nothing.
I think that's what people have issues with, is that's what they do, especially pairs, because typically there's, an instance that maybe they had a bad fitting instance where they tried to go shopping, they didn't fit anything, so then they decided to go to the gym and try and fix it.
They want to go punish themselves. You don't want to punish yourself. You want to love yourself, and you want to actually do things that are good for your body. So some of that, if you're not exercising and then you start just gradually increasing your overall activity to the point where you're moving more frequently, that in itself can be huge for some people. Like it may even, it may shift the scale like a few kilos just by doing that alone. If you're very sedentary and you just clean up your eating a little bit, like 10%, and then move more throughout the day, you're going to notice a difference. Like when I lost a significant amount of weight in my 20s, one of the things that I did start going to the gym, but because I'd had chronic fatigue syndrome, I couldn't work intensity, because if I worked intensity, I'd end up in bed for 2 days. So I worked with a trainer who worked on rebuilding basic strength. It wasn't like a smash you into the ground session. It was basic. Let's get your scapula, your shoulders retracting again, because you have a really forward posture. Everything's rounded. You're constantly tight around. You've got chronic migraines from being tight around the traps of the neck all the time. So it was really like kind of like rehab, really. And then things like yoga. And then I just started, because I started working again after being quite ill. I made sure that every lunchtime I went for a walk. I'd eat my lunch and then I'd go for at least a 20-minute walk. That did more to shift the scale than probably the other things I was doing, just because it was every day I was getting at least 45 minutes of movement in, even if sometimes I could go for a 45-minute walk. Sometimes it would be 20 minutes here, 20 minutes after work, walking the dog. Just that bit of activity throughout the day makes a big difference in terms of like helping to counteract all the hours that we spend sitting. So I've even noticed like going into isolation, like at first, because I was like really stressed, because it's hard to go from running a physical business to an online business in a week.
Did a great job though.
But then I was really stressed. I wasn't really eating properly. I didn't really have time to. And I was just like, look, I'm not too concerned. It's a week. I'll allow myself this time to get everything sorted so then I can address my own issues. But then once I started doing more online coaching, I was sitting more, and I was used to being on a gym floor where I'd average 15,000 steps a day at least, to some days like 5,000 steps a day. So I noticed how crap that made.
Massive difference.
And then since I've got my little fur baby, I've actually done less walking because I can't walk him yet. I've only just been allowed to start walking him in the last couple of days. So, and I couldn't trust him to stay alone in my apartment for long periods of time when I used to just go for 45-minute walks. So yeah, like it makes a big difference overall to just your overall health and everything. And that's like, once I stopped moving, I put on a bit of ISO weight because I just wasn't moving as much as I was before. And it didn't matter how much I was training. I was training twice a day, but I was actually putting on a little bit of weight because my eating was more frequent and my moving overall was less.
Yeah. And that's something that, since transitioning from my more retail front facing every day to now doing my business development. I'm sitting at the computer all day, every day.
Yeah.
I don't, I used to do retail work where I used to run stores all day. I used to be on my feet all day. And now sitting in a computer office chair, even though it's a beautiful, amazing chair,
Yeah.
I get times, I get times where it's just like, it's so hard to get active again. And I noticed that my body was changing. But, this year I've been really wanting to focus on my health, and we've been working together. The first step is to fix my diet and my anemia and energy levels before doing anything else. Because if I go to anything else, if I start doing any kind of training, I'm already so exhausted. It's not going to help me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like for you, it'd probably be, hey, when you do want to start training, I'd be like, Angie, just go for a walk, take a break and go for a walk. If you have an awesome banana plantation next door, I'm jealous. Scenery there. I have the suburbs, so I have industrial.
I do a beautiful backyard. It's great.
Yeah,
but I think that's one of the things, because it was because of you and watching your journey and what you do for your clients, that even though this year I did tell myself, okay, this is the year I've just turned 30. I'm really thinking about, what is my body going to be like in 10 years? I already have arthritis. I don't want to get it worse because it scares me on what I'm going to be like in 10 and 20 years, where when it's a cold day or rainy day, I'm already aching. But I know I can't do any more than what I'm doing right now because I don't have the energy, and it's just going to negatively impact.
Yeah, but you're doing the thing that you need to be doing the most, and that with you, it was just looking at the diet and ways that you can, because over the years that I've known you, like it's not that you necessarily eat poorly, but your diet was like a side concern. Like when you had time being tougher, you'd just get by on whatever was cheap and readily available, which a lot of people do.
Very good at it.
Yeah, you could make that money last. But at the same time, that's not necessarily going to be the things that are best for your body. And now you're in a position where you can look after yourself. You've got the luxury of being able to do that. Not everyone has that luxury. So, like.
Also, I think I used it as an excuse as well. Like some of the changes that I have made this past month and a half, one specific thing I could have done years ago. And it was well, it's the red wine. Katie told me I couldn't drink red wine anymore, and it broke my heart. But, but as soon as I've done it, it's worked. And it's one of those things that I think everyone will always have an excuse as to why they can't do something right now to better their emotional health, their physical health, everything. And I was definitely guilty of it. But certain things like that, I could have made that change years ago.
Yeah.
And I might not be in the state that I am now.
Yeah.
If I had done it years ago and I had figured this out.
Yeah. But at least you have made that change now, rather than 10 years down the track when you've got other issues stemming from the anemia and, you exercise because your immune system's shot.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that we obviously are in different states. Katie is in Melbourne, Victoria. I'm in Benora, New South Wales, far New South Wales, pretty much Queensland. Yeah. And it was one of those things, we just had a couple sessions where we talked through my health background, what my goals are, what the immediate issue was that we were dealing with. And then you came back with basically your research and what we should start trying. It's not hard, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
No.
I think a lot of women, especially, maybe my age, a bit younger, who are pairs and they do have issues, they're always so focused on all the stuff they have to do, the cost it's going to be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that crazy of a cost. It doesn't have to be that much work.
Yeah.
Especially with the diet. Like you gave me a list of things that would be really good for me to eat and include in my diet, and a list of things that you didn't say I couldn't have it. You said I probably shouldn't.
Yeah. Or just have and have these other things that you're not having because they'll make you feel better.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that the little changes like that can make a big difference. So, I'm not really focusing on trying to lose weight or lose my hair curves. I'm just wanting to be healthy.
Yeah.
And
energy
there's ways of doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All the time, just doing that will make everything else work better anyway. Because the problem is you didn't have energy, and because you work very hard, and it is stressful running your own business, and you're wearing multiple hats. So anything that we can do to just clean up your diet a bit. It wasn't even that your diet was bad. If I looked at it in terms of it was quite just your average diet. It wasn't like you were binging on junk food or anything crazy like that. But there was just some things that stopping you from getting
carbs.
It's not the carbs about. I mean, you can still have carbs. It's just picking the carbs that are going to work better for your body at the moment. And when as things are improving, then it's just a matter of, okay, how will those things sit with you now? It's not necessarily that you're going to have to not have certain things forever, or, you know, it's just being aware of the effect that they have on your body. It might be, you know, a few months time, some of the things that you're not having at the moment might actually feel a bit better just because your body's healed itself a bit. And so it's just looking at what you, not necessarily removing things from your diet, but looking at other things you can eat so that it's not like restricting. Because a lot of the time when people start restricting foods as well, it makes you crazy, and you just want to eat because you're not allowed to have it.
And you just think about it all the time.
Yeah. Whereas it's better just go, oh, look at all these other things I can eat, and this food, if I eat it, I'm gonna feel good for eating it. Like, I'm gonna have more energy. I'm gonna be able to, you know, stay awake to do all the work I've got to do, and still have energy to have a life, or just to deal with other things, you know, that happen in life. You don't want to be so exhausted from your work that you've got nothing left for anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one thing that people, you know, tend to overlook, especially when you are doing things like restricting foods and trying to lose weight and stuff like that. A lot of the time people aren't looking at the way that they're feeling. And obviously if you're dieting, if there's a need to lose a lot of weight and you are restricting more foods, yeah, you might be hungry. Your energy levels might be a little bit lower. If you're in a calorie deficit, you will have a little bit less energy. But in your case, you weren't in a calorie deficit and you had a lot of energy. So, I mean, didn't have a lot of energy. So
Yeah.
you're not right there if you're eating food that is relatively, it's not that it was like really high calorie either, but you're probably eating more food than you used to eat, but
Yes.
have energy, and that's just not right. Sorry, my dog is stuck in my jacket. Yeah, so it's just looking at the foods that will work better for you and help you to function better. And I think that's a better way to look at food. Like, how does it make me feel? How's my gut comfort after I've eaten? What's my energy levels like? Am I waking up after I've eaten these foods, and is it not agreeing with me? You know, waking up during the night, not sleeping well, just feeling sluggish in general. And a lot of the time people overlook that stuff because they're like, I've got to eat these, especially if they're working with, like, you know, like certain people in the industry who are like, you've got to eat X, Y, and Z to lose weight, and you've got to do this, and you've got to be super strict.
Yeah.
It doesn't always agree with everyone. Everyone's different. You have different genes to other people. You have different gut biome. You have all these different things, different factors. What's, you know, really good and healthy for me might not be really good and healthy for someone else. They might have a histamine intolerance, and it might make them break out in hives. So it's really looking at, you know, what works for the individual person. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that, you know, you spend a fortune doing that. It can be as simple as just keeping a food diary for yourself and going, okay, after I eat this, I feel this way. And I've noticed a pattern of every time I eat this food, this happens. And I don't like that feeling. So maybe I'll just not have that food, but what can I have so that I'm not feeling like I'm going without? So I'm having something that I still enjoy eating. Sorry, my laptop keyboard just came out. Having something that I still enjoy eating, but that isn't going to have this detrimental effect on my health and my energy levels, and, you know, the way I absorb iron or the way that my hormones function. Because that's another thing with pear-shaped people. If you're not having enough of the right things, which is women in general, humans in general, if you're eating the wrong things for your hormones, if you have a hormone imbalance, and like certain foods will help you to get rid of, say, excess estrogen and things like that, like things like your broccoli and foods like that can help you, or just general dietary fiber can help you to get rid of that excessive amounts of estrogen. So, you know, that might be something that is beneficial, but you're not necessarily having it. You might just eat salads all the time, and that's your idea of healthy. But if you introduce some of these other more like fibrous foods and cruciferous vegetables and things like that, that might actually be better for your body than eating like a rabbit. So there's lots of different ways you can look at things. It just depends on what your picture of health is, what your goals are, what your body shape is. So yeah.
It's awesome. Like it's nice to know that there are trainers out there who do think of the big picture, because I do think, you know, in my limited experience, I have known quite a few trainers who don't think so much in the long term, because as a client, you're thinking in the short term, you want the immediate fix, the immediate change. And it's, as a trainer, that's where you need to step in and go, okay, but what are your long-term goals? I get what you want now, but what's the step after that?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of that just comes down to ego. It's like, that makes me look really good, but that doesn't look good if 6 months down the track you're broken and you've got gut issues and you can't eat things. Like, it's not great. And I mean, it happens because people, you know, want to punish themselves, and, you know, especially if you're having issues with body image and everything, it's a very common thing. I mean, I've gone through it myself, where I always wanted to do more and be stricter and exercise more, and it becomes a thing that can be detrimental to your health. So as a trainer, I've got to sort of go, hey, no, we've got to just rein things in a little bit. You can't fire on all cylinders all the time. Eventually you're going to wear out.
Yes, which that I am really bad at that. This was an excellent episode. I hope everyone's learned a lot. I know I definitely have. We do have one more episode in this series, guys, so make sure you tune in for next week's episode. It'll be the final one with Katie, because, you know, we can't have her forever, but it'll be just as educational, and you know, it's just a great way to be able to have a conversation and open up the conversation to the community, I think, of having this other way of looking at your overall health. So thank you so much for giving your professional insight into everything, and also your personal as well. I think it really helps make it real
Yeah.
for a lot of us. So as usual, everyone, thank you so much for joining, and like, subscribe, share, comment, everything on all of our socials. I'll be putting Katie's socials in as well, so you can do the same with her. And as always, guys, love your curves. Bye.